What is going on? I'm Cole, and I am here today with my co-host Blake. Blake, how are you doing?
I'm good, baby. I'm good. How you doing?
I am good and slightly jealous. For those of you who don't know, Blake got to talk to one of my favorite comic book publishers today, and Bad Idea. So if you don't know, you should go over there and check it out because it was pretty sweet.
It was a fun chat. We talked about their new Kickstarter and just all the shenanigans that they do, and they're all just there's. I didn't realize there was only five guys, like five people. There's not many people at the company, and they all just love comics and are trying to do stuff differently and get cool comics out. So yeah, it's good. It's really cool to talk to them.
Yeah, I just can't believe you didn't ask Dinesh about Two Chains at all.
I was having a hard time keeping up with the comments. I saw that and I got confused and I was just like,
There,
then like you and Chaos started talking about weird stuff back and forth too, and I was like, I probably don't need to show all these.
yeah, so they did. I don't know what he did, but he did something where I think Two Chains has some show where he wants to see like lavish stuff,
Hmm.
and he wanted to talk about comics, and Dinesh was on the show, and he like let Two Chains like bare hands like an original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic that's like we're not talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. We're talking like they drew this on
Wow,
paper and stapled it together, and it's like the promo.
that's crazy.
But yeah, I don't know. It was pretty insane. I was just like, whoa, that's sweet. And also Two Chains. Two Chains. That's my impression of Two Chains. That's probably pretty bad, but I do my best. So let's say what's up to the chat right now. We got Kevin over at Entropy
What's
and
up?
Comics. How's it going? We got Las Cruces all the way from New Mexico. How are you doing? Hope you're doing all right. We got my buddy Steven Hayner.
Steve?
Steve, I hope you're having a great day today. And hashtag green team. We got L Green Machine. Also, maybe could be part of the green team just with the last name there. We got my buddy Jonathan over at Collectibles to Astonish. I hope you are having a great day, Jonathan. And we got the one, the only Trev, the
Let
shipping
Trev.
guru. I hope you're doing good. And yeah, it's funny because so Trev lives in Texas, but is a Kansas City Chiefs
See,
fan.
I thought he was local because I always see his Chief stuff in his videos. Yeah,
So I think the question we have to ask after what happened
is
on
the
your show
barbecue?
is the barbecue, Trev, better in Kansas City or is it better in Texas?
Is a heated discussion in
Yeah.
the Bad Idea live
Yeah, and we
stream.
see a lot of people if you want to born in Kansas. Yeah, so we see a lot of people here. If you're putting in that hashtag Gatsby, you'll get a chance to win the book that we're going to talk about in a few seconds here. So one thing I wanted to show off before we get into that too, and if you end up winning this, you can get some of these too. We got some new stickers over here. Blake
Look at
made this
that.
cool little logo for us. I don't know why. I'd rather pick up in my hand than the sticker, but whatever. And we got some new magnets over here. So this is like the proof one, so it's all like gnarled, but I'll still show it off because the other ones are in a bag. So
And that art was done by Ignacio Demeglio, our buddy, our
yeah,
artist buddy.
who's over
Cole's,
there on the 1011 over at Gary
yeah.
Cupino right now. Yeah, and it's great. Yeah, put together something good. We got Marvel Matt over here at Comics by the Bay. Hope you're
Whoa.
doing great and hope you're having a fun time. Apparently, I got like real weird. Yeah. So the magnets, this big guy, and then we got little stickers because Sticker Mule had a 2-inch sticker, and I have always heard that it's not the size that matter.
I was about to about to go there.
although Blake isn't one to talk because dude's got a 12-inch tablet. Let me tell you what. So like when you're like, I don't like reading digitally, just think of Blake over there sitting with
It's
his
actually
12-inch
a
tablet.
12.4-inch tablet.
12.4. Wowzo. How do you even use all of that tablet?
See, I mean, you can't. Sometimes you can't use it all. You can't. God damn.
Sorry. So if you go back and you
Go
end up
back and watch that live stream. It was a great time.
Blake's live stream, you'll get this conversation a little bit more. But yeah, they're talking about bad idea. One of the things that they don't do is digital comics at all. And we always think it's funny. Yeah. You have to redo the stickers. Yeah. So I mean, it'll come back. Hazel said, hey, you know what? You should shave your mustache. And now every day she says, Dad, I wish you had your beard again. And she's the only person that calls a mustache a beard, but it makes me feel good about myself because at least one person in the world thinks that I can grow a beard. So today we're talking about a new book, and it's something from a publisher. I think we've done a few books by them, maybe at least one, just one.
Yeah, the first episode, right?
Yeah, first episode. So we got AWA. We're talking about Gatsby. This is from writer Jeremy Holt, artist Felipe. His Twitter tells you how to pronounce it.
Oh, it does, yeah.
It's like because I'm looking at it. I think Kunha, but I think it's Kuhana. Now I'm at the website.
Oh, I just clicked past it.
Yeah, so, Blake might come back.
Kuinya.
Queen, yeah. Um, and yeah, so this is a modern oh, I'm doing a real good starting today off. This is a modern
Just
retelling.
distracted by that 12.4-inch tablet.
Yeah. You just get one guy on your show with a 12-inch tablet and you don't know what to do. So yeah, this is when a middle-class Singaporean student, Lu Zhao, is invited to spend summer on Long Island with his rich cousin Tommy. Before attending Columbia University in the fall, he sorry, woo. He's brought into the American lifestyle, strapped him into a collision course filled with designer drugs, sex, deceit, and murder. Gatsby is an LGBTQIA led, racially diverse series that reimagines F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, set in the present day Long Island. This is rating mature. Another thing that I think that was very different about this is the first AWA book, to my understanding, that is going straight to
Oh, the
trade
OGN?
paperback, and I don't know why it took me so long to say that, yeah, or OGN.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't remember them having one either. Yeah, I was for a second I thought Carmen Line, but that's Mad Cave.
so here's what the cover looks like. I love this cover, and
It's a
it's
good
kind of
cover.
funny now that I'm looking at this cover on a 24-inch monitor.
Whoa!
Whoa, yeah, I think I
Big swinging
missed.
displays over
Yeah.
here.
Well, we're doing our best here today. Blake's been at he already talked about Kickstarters and stuff. I'm just jealous of his 12-inch tablet. I'm going to show off some of the art here. So these pages, some of them will kind of go in order and then we'll kind of get off to it, but these are what we kind of can show. So this is just the generalized art. The main guy you see with the white shirt, that is Lou. He is the main character. We got Alexis on the left of them. And yeah, this is his cousin Tommy. We're kind of going through, but the one thing that I did notice, and I might quick take this little brandy poo off, or the ticker off the bottom, just so you can kind of see some of it. It does kind of end as if it is set to be released in issues.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so this is, I love these kind of, there's a few of these big pages. I think we might have another one coming up. I know one of my favorite parts, and I think it's right here. Yeah, there's
This is
some
cool.
mermaids at the party. But yeah, this is, so I mean, for those of you who have not read The Great Gatsby, I don't think you necessarily need to read this. I know I actually was asking Blake because we, usually before we do these, we talk. And I'm just like, when did you watch this? And then he was like, I read this in high school. And I was like, oh, you didn't watch the Leonardo DiCaprio movie? And I was like, I might have also not watched that movie. But I was,
That's he also was very judgy when I
yeah.
said that
Oh, you didn't watch
he
that?
was like, "Oh wow, really?" And I was like, "I heard it wasn't good." And then like a couple minutes later, he was like, "I don't know if I watched it."
So, that's just how I am as a friend. I might judge you for not watching a movie and then tell you that I didn't.
I
We've
kind of
also,
want to watch it now. Like,
yeah,
what's
we
up,
got the
Mad
mad
Respect?
respect. What's going on? And we got Cash and Dad's
What
pack
up?
blasters, whatever. I'm doing my best today, guys. So I'm sorry. I'm here. Blake's here. He's got a 12-inch tablet. We're gonna keep going with this. But yeah, so I don't think that you necessarily have to do it. But also, if you see down below, if you put hashtag Gatsby, you'll get a chance to win that and one of maybe these stickers and a magnet. Yeah, and it is pretty cool. Interested as a reader of the book in high school. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I yeah, I think I read this book in high school, but I had to have seen the movie because I definitely like know it. I just don't know how the movie ends. I guess, and I do, but
I
I don't.
remember it not. It like ends by not ending. Like we kind of talked about
Yeah,
one of the one of the few complaints we had about this book was that, and I know I'm jumping, but like it seems a little rushed in the end, which was weird, given it that I mean, it has 6 issues and it's set up as an OGN, and so it would be, it would be an instance where you wouldn't really think that they would rush it. But I kind of remember that about the book because like Gatsby's just kind of gone. Like he comes in and gets his fingers in everybody's lives and starts some drama, and then he's just kind of gone one day, and everybody goes their separate ways. And it's like the book was weird like that too, and this very much replicates that kind of scenario while also going wildly off course into its own direction, which I don't, maybe we shouldn't talk about that. We should leave that for you to read it, but
Yeah, yeah.
a good retelling. I feel like the only thing that I missed, do you remember the green light from the book?
I
Like,
don't remember. Yeah, I think that was just something. I would say that the green light is probably that like mermaid tunnel.
yeah. Okay, yeah, they see the light. They're like looking. They see the party and the house all lit
Yeah.
up. It was just it's in the novel. It's this ominous like green light off in the distance, right? And and Fitzgerald spends a lot of time again. I'm starting to remember bits and pieces of it like now that I'm talking about it. But this green light's like a big deal, and they kind of the green light goes away into this like the place is lit up like Vegas at night, right? And it's like on this coastal property. And but yeah, it's a very cool. I don't know, like I kind of wish more comics would do this. Like this was interesting to me. Like I know they've done like Blade Runner has like spin-offs and adaptations of like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and I thought those were cool. But not a lot of like taking your own narrative course with a lot of these
Yeah.
iconic pieces of literature. I thought this was a cool move.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think it was pretty fun. I mean, it also gets pretty crazy throughout
Yeah.
here. And I mean, it definitely has a more modern spin, right? Like, I mean, there is drinking in here, but I think like the main focus too is that there's like, people are using drugs. These are about like high school kids, right? It's the summer before they go to college. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it's just I guess that's the kind of part where it's a little bit different. I think the main character, and I don't know what the main character is in The Great Gatsby, but I think he's young,
Hmm.
kind of younger, and like Gatsby is older. I think that Gatsby is loosely the same age as everyone in this.
Yeah. Everybody's on the same.
Loosely seems like they're the
Yeah.
same age, but yeah, I mean, it definitely takes to this modern spin, right? Gatsby becomes rich off of creating this app that is loosely like Facebook, but it also like maybe my favorite part about it is that there's a part in this where he's talking about like one of the guys is like, well, how'd you find out about me? And they were like, "Yeah, just, the good and bad thing about this app is that it's spying on you. The only thing we do different than everyone else is we're not actually selling your data." And it's like, ooh, that is a pretty funny move that I really enjoyed and I thought was comical. We've got a few people that coming in, so I'm gonna say, "Hey, what is up, 3 good nerds? How you doing?" Got my buddy
What up,
22
22?
Comics. What's going on? Hope you're having an awesome day and, yeah, keeping up with your long form content. Uh,
Long form content. People still do that.
yeah,
I'm just
he's
kidding.
him
I
and you
I
you
do
guys
that. I do
you
that
guys
all the
should just talk to
time.
each other about how the hatred of short content together. I'll just, like, start a thread with the 3 of us, and then I'll just leave. Just leave you guys there to
I was just
scream.
I was just telling Cole about that because I'm doing some like freelance work and social media management now, and I made some templated shorts for clients, right, just to kind of advertise Kickstarters, and like did not, I probably shouldn't say this live in case they're listening, did not take very long, and it got almost like 2,000 views, like more if you consider like putting it on Instagram and TikTok simultaneously, but like 1.9K views on YouTube. And I was just like, man, compared to like some of those like 1 minute 30 shorts where I'm like doing an actual review and like putting art in there and like or filming on the green screen and just like the amount of effort that takes compared to, and that maybe gets like 400 or 500 views, and then like my live
Sometimes just
streams,
3.
which yeah, right. And then like the live streams, which I wish would get 1,000 views, but those hour and a half conversations, don't get that. So yeah, I get it. I get where the trends are going, and I'm trying to be cool about it, but I'm still a grumpy old man who talks too much, and that's how I'm gonna die. Me and my 12.4-inch tablet swinging in the wind.
Proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Just I hope that someday I can be there. Oh, look at who we got here. Hello, Felipe, and we just,
Oh, what's up?
we are very glad that you came here. We are talking about your book, and yeah, this is The Artist. And Blake said your last name correctly. I did not because I forgot to look at Twitter because
Quina.
because
I had
I
to
have a
look at it
bad first
again,
name like that.
but
But
good thing I kept it up on the screen. Thank you so much for tuning in.
thank you for stopping by.
I really dig your modernized, very human, very I mean, it's just it's very real. It's a very replication of like the well, I say the world we live in, but I don't live in this rich world. But just the architecture, the scenery, the vehicles, the character models, and the way they emote did a great job.
And I mean, this book also takes into not only just the rich area within it, it also deals with some of the maybe lower class, maybe dirtier
Hmm.
places, right? And that's kind of one of the characters that gets brought into this world. Is kind of this different thing, right? Somebody that is brought in to do something that you later learn out, and maybe we're not going to talk about, but she is also a focal point to this story. Um, and yeah, it does kind of show both sides of the world. And I mean, even the main character, Lou, right, is not necessarily like
Yeah.
well to do. Their thing that they're trying to do as they come here is get a job, no matter what it takes, just riding a bike, even though you could have somebody drive you down to get this job. Their thing is to try and get a summer job because they don't just want to live off their uncle and aunt's money, which a lot of people might take and just do. So I mean, I think
I
that's
would,
kind of, yeah.
dude. I dream about that. Like I went to a pretty ritzy private school. This all guy for my freshman sophomore year. I went to Rockhurst High School, and it was like a college prep, expensive private school. My dad wanted me to play football. I didn't play football, and I think I kind of broke his heart. But anyways, like it was expensive, and I remember going to like my first mansion, like that this kid lived in, right, and got lost in this dude's house, and I was like, how do you get lost in a house? Like I was like, there were all these hallways and stairs and just like different rooms. And there was like a different basement. Like when you went upstairs to like go to the kitchen and get something to drink. And if you like took a different staircase downstairs, it went to like a different secluded, it was crazy. But yeah, I've seen some of that, and it's just, wild, like how some people live. But yeah, if my dad owned a dealership or something, and like, or if my aunt and uncle were loaded and wanted to pay for me to freeload it for a summer, I guess I'm just that piece of shit. Like I would have been like,
Yeah, I probably would.
I'm not getting a job.
And Blake, you got some high praises there. The one thing I did want to say, and so if you're here, I'm not sure if you're sticking around, but if you do, the one thing I did notice, I think one part there is a party scene, and I'm pretty sure that you might have drawn the artist or the author Jeremy into one of the middle party scenes. I don't think it's included in the assets that AWA sent out, but I remember it was. I think it's when. Right before Lou's first day, Tommy brings him to his parents' hotel, and there's like this party. And I think that Jeremy is put within one of those pages. I could be wrong, but I would like to know if
Didn't
you did
wasn't
that.
isn't F. Scott Fitzgerald in the end too? Isn't he
Yes,
the
yes, yeah. I
professor?
think
Yeah.
that I think that is a nod to the college professor that is teaching the creative writing class. And once again, to Felipe's website is in the description. So if you want to go over there and check out more of their art, there is that. I have actually the artist, the author, the colorist, and the letterer's websites down there. So make sure you go check out their stuff.
Yeah,
You can
read
get,
read the info that Cole worked really hard on,
yeah,
ladies and gentlemen. Like he did a really good job. Like I don't know if he was bored at work or what, but he was like, I think I got all he has like links to buy the book, links to AWA, links to the creators, like he did a good job.
yeah, and
Shout out to Cole.
you got to draw, I think maybe one of everyone's favorite cars in pop culture, or at least one of them. I would say it easily probably makes it into almost everyone's top 10 in the DeLorean.
Yeah, and it looked good too.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite part is there was a kid, that went to my high school that actually bought and restored a DeLorean for his first car, and that was just always like, "Well, that car is cooler than every other car here because it's so, like, uniquely different," right? I think t also, I tell this story, and this is, like, the tangents that we get into, but do you remember when Surge was a thing?
Oh God, yes.
Remember
My
when if
loved it.
you could win a Surge Hearst?
No.
I'm
What?
like 95% sure it was either a hearse or a taxi.
Because if you kept drinking it, you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah, but I'm like 95% sure that there was a kid. I mean, granted, I was like younger, like probably somewhere between third grader and an eighth grader, and a kid in our high school won that and drove that.
Wow.
And I just remember seeing it. And maybe I'm making this up, but if anyone in the chat remembers, I've like Googled Surge Hearst or Surge Taxi and never see anything. But this seems like such a weird thing that I would have just made up in my headspace. But also, like, this is like the early to mid 90s. So, like,
Do you
maybe
remember
like,
when they brought it back and you could only buy it on Amazon in
oh,
like
you
the
couldn't, no,
16
you
ounce
could get it at
cans?
Speedways.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Because
I
we had it
remember
at
like
a
they
bunch
brought
of
it.
Speedways here.
Nice. Yeah, I bought a case on Amazon and I got it like at the normal price. And then right after that, I mean, people were selling cans of it for like 20, 30 bucks a can. I was like, and I really thought about selling it because people were buying them,
Yeah.
but I drank one and was like
It's too
brought
much
back to
sugar.
my youth. It's wonderful though. Like
Yeah.
it's so bad for you, but yeah, it's why I'm diabetic. Probably
Like,
it's because I bought that case of Surge and
well,
drank
I
it.
used to drink so much Mountain Dew, and now I can only handle Diet Mountain Dew. And if
Yeah.
like I can drink Coke, right? I can drink pretty much a normal any other drink. But if I drink a Mountain Dew, it just hurts my teeth. I think we might have missed 23 Manch. So 23 Manch, thank you for
What
stopping
up?
by and hanging out with us today. We also got Kenneth Bird. I hope you're having a wonderful night, and he's hoping everyone else here has a wonderful night. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome too. I mean, I was gonna say, like, was that the way that you're asking it, was that something that you decided to pick in? Because it could have just been like, here's a dad's car, you get
Yeah.
the forever choice to pick out any type of car that a dad of, some millennials would want to drive. And I mean, the DeLorean is a sweet car. So yeah, that's awesome that you got to draw that too. And I mean, there are some pretty sweet cars. I think one of the things we even kind of skipped over is there is a Wise in this book,
Yeah.
and Wise is a car. And I guess I didn't really put this on, but we're not really talking spoilers. There's some big spoilers. We're definitely not going to go over there. But we are going to, cover some of the stuff. And it's just kind of how we do it here. We like to put the spoilers in case you don't want it. Hey, what is going on? Couching and slouching with C
What
Drizzle.
up?
But also everyone here too. We're going to be giving away a copy of this. So put in hashtag Gatsby. I'll probably be getting this from Amazon, and I think Amazon might not ship it until the end of the month.
Yeah,
But
they get it a
hey,
week after.
well, I think this is different. So this book actually releases tomorrow in comic book shop, but I think it doesn't release into bookstores until the 30th.
Huh.
At least that's what I read on AWA's site. I could be wrong, and maybe that's just with other bookstores. I know that AWA specifically works with Simon and Schuster, and they have a deal there. The link I have down below has the Simon and Schuster link. So if you are interested in this and you do not win it, make sure you check that out. That would be a place that you could get it, and they will ship it to you tomorrow. But if you are at your local comic book shop and they get AWA books, you can probably get this. Once again, yeah, too, this is straight to graphic novel, which is pretty sweet because I think this is the first AWA, as we kind of covered already. And yeah, May 30th for bookstores, which I'm not really sure
I
that
wish creatives always came in our chat. This is
yeah,
dope.
this
Like,
is all.
thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and listening to us. And yeah, and thank you for making such a great book. Yeah, Wise was also a very cool car. I think you got to draw a lot of good cars, and I think I know that I saw Sean Gordon Murphy talk, and he loves drawing cars.
A lot of
But I
people
feel
don't.
I feel like a lot of people don't. And it was funny because it was a Batman panel, and at this time it was when Joel Jones was doing it. And Sean Murphy actually said to Joel Jones, I love the way that you draw cards. And she went into this whole story about her dad, I think was a mechanic, or her brothers were mechanics, or there were mechanics in her family. So it's just kind of funny to kind of see these things. Oh yes, let's go. Per the interwebs, it looks like there was a Surge taxi car circa 1997. Yeah, so I think I was pretty much spot on. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the person that won that went to the high school that I went to, and I always just remember seeing that, and it was wild. But we were talking about Wise. Wise is what is it? Wicked. Gosh, I already am bad at this acronym, but it's a
Wicked,
self-driving car.
intelligent, something.
Wicked intelligent. Yeah. What? Well, I work in a industry that has tons of acronyms, and I hardly ever remember what they stand for. So this is not because it's not, a creative name. It's just I'm very bad at this. But I think the thing that really like was cool about this car is not only could the chairs kind of move, people could flip through it. It also is self-driving. It also talks like a human, and it also can add extra chairs to it, which I think is pretty sweet.
Yeah, would do when the chairs move around when they're like having that serious conversation and the chairs move around while they're driving to like face each other. I was like, oh my God. And
Oh
everybody
man.
talks about how human the car's voice is. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, thank you. It's like,
But yeah, I think that this book, it definitely does good. Oh, and I think I have to look up. So there's some extra people on the book that aren't in the main spot, and I'm sorry. I think I'll have to maybe go to find this on League of Comic Geeks. But I just remember that there were, I think, the artist from what's the book we did with Stephanie Phillips wrote on the
oh,
show.
Brim.
Yeah, I think it's Raza, right? I think they might do something in this too.
Hmm.
Maybe the covers.
Were there there was only one cover.
Uh, let me. I don't remember where I read this, but there was because AWA's website I feel like didn't give as much information as I thought it did. Oh, it's probably in the email that they sent. So let me pull that up. Yeah, Raza. Oh, so just this one singular cover. And then yeah, it looks like Elizabeth Beale also did some additional art on this.
Hmm.
And I forgot to mention too, it's Deirbla Kelly is the colorist and Adam Woollett is the letterer.
Deirbla is an amazing colorist too, which is
Yeah.
this book is like Felipe's line art is stellar, but like like I like when the big party scenes and when like the lights are flashing like that, those Vegas glow ups kind of that you get at some points, and then that the underwater mer people tunnel and just like everything's very very beautiful. It's got a Jen Bartel color vibe like every page. It's very very pretty.
Oh yeah, and thank you for helping with this. Oh, so yeah, so Raza is the color of the artist of yeah, okay, yeah, and then Elibis did the cover to the chapters. And so we ended up reading the AWA sent out the press release version of this. So I don't know if we got those covers.
Yeah, we
So
didn't.
that that
We just goes right into the next chapter.
that's something I'm hoping that my comic shop will have this so I can, flip through those and check it out. I think that I actually pre-ordered one of these from Gmart myself. So I'm excited to check that out. But yeah, I don't think it was included in there. So that would be a fun, extra feature to see.
Yeah, they don't ever include the back matter typically if there is any in the AWA stuff, which is
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense though, because I mean I don't know a lot of people that review stuff and really get excited about the back. Like I don't typically. I mean I read it when but I wouldn't include that in a write up unless unless it was like an omnibus that had like a really extensive cover gallery or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I still like looking at the color or the covers too. They're just always fun. We got Andrew Kai joining us and getting in on that giveaway. If you are joining, make sure you put in hashtag Gatsby and you'll get a chance to win this original graphic novel.
It's funny because when we had talked about covering this book, because AWA sent out a pre-presser email like 1 week that just had like the first chapter maybe or something to kind of
I
give.
think it was the first two issues, if I
Okay.
remember correctly.
So they sent out like a little taster. And I thought it was interesting because this company all right, so this company that did this book that they sent me a copy of, they're called Clover Press. They make some cool stuff, and they're doing some like Marvel art books with David Mack, and those look really nice. And they're doing an original graphic novel of The Great Gatsby too. And I told Cole, I was like,
Oh yeah,
these people really? There's just two Great Gatsby comics coming out at like the same time. Like what? But this one that we're talking about from AWA is a modernized retelling,
yeah.
and the one from Clover is it's the story that like most of us read in high school. Like it's just a
It's
graphic
like
novel
when you get
adaptation.
the Dark Tower from Dark Horse.
Yeah,
I think they
yeah.
did that.
But it was odd that like two company. I mean, I know these things were in production for a while before they were announced, right? But it's just kind of a coincidence that just at the same time, like AWA is dropping the Great Gatsby direct market, and this other company is doing it on Kickstarter. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I know too, I don't know where I saw this, but I remember there was a video that Jeremy was on, and I think they were talking about how this is something they wrote a long time ago and have been pitching around, and I think somebody picked it up and then didn't do anything with it, and it's kind of been going around,
Oh
and they've
wow.
been thankful that it finally got picked up. I don't know that we've put the price tag on this, but this is a 19.99 cover price. And yeah, for I mean, I think you said 6 issues, but I don't know why. I feel like there were 7 issues.
Oh,
Maybe I made that up in my head.
100. It was 176 pages. I know that.
Yeah, and I think each one was about 20-ish pages. So it says 192 total pages. So we got 20 less pages than you're going to get. And I'm assuming that covers some of the covers that we did not see. And sorry too if you randomly see me mic and then drink a bunch of water. I don't know, something happened to my throat, and I've got this like weird tickle back there that I'm not quite figuring out yet. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I think that, especially in modern day, I think this is a nice refreshing, retelling, right? A lot of the times you get these retellings and this is a book that I read. And I think this changes up the story enough
Yeah.
that it gives you something that you're not necessarily expecting. This ends crazy. Like there is a crazy end at this,
Yeah.
and we haven't even really gone in, but it's mainly, this book focuses around 4 high school kids. There's kind of like, two others. Well, I mean, there's Gatsby who doesn't include in the group, and then there's like one other person that kind of comes in, but there's, a lot of other side characters within this story that really bring it together.
Reminded me of Cruel Intentions a little bit. Like I got those. I loved that movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar when she was
Yeah.
like hot shit. I mean, she's still gorgeous, but like when she was like in everything, but Buffy was doing well and stuff. Like Cruel Intent, and then what's his name? Felipe, or I can't, the guy's name in it. And Reese Witherspoon. No, not was it Reese? No, can't remember. Anyway,
Yeah. So it looks like this has been in 4 years production.
wow. Well, I'm glad it finally got made because I had a blast reading it. It was very dark. Like it had this, it had that like it reminded me of yeah, graduating high school. I was doing stupid shit
Yeah.
my junior and senior year too, and through college and through my 20s and early 30s.
And
And
maybe even currently today.
but
With your 12-inch tablet,
yeah,
you don't even have to
yeah,
worry about what's going on in the
yeah,
rest of the
you
world.
just show that thing, they let you do whatever you want. But it just it reminded me of that fear and excitement, right? Of like that approaching a new territory of your life, but while also like you're young and stupid and you're saying fuck it all. I really got a kick out of like basically they're all doing cocaine, but it's a new super liquid nose spritzer coke. It looks like they're doing like
Are
cold
your
medicine.
My favorite part is, yeah, the main character asks his cousin, "Are they do you have seasonal
Yeah.
allergies?"
They're like, no, they're straight up doing drugs, bro.
In their weird little secret room. But yeah, that's a good pull. I wouldn't have like thought of that. I think the one thing too that's pretty cool about the colors in this book is that like for how dark the actual subject matter is,
Yeah.
the colors are so bright. And we've kind of talked about that, right? It's this glamorous world that you want to do. There's this new app that essentially is like, all social media is on steroids, which almost bringing us into like a Ready Player One style
Mm-hmm.
possible world, right? Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that was a good pull. I really like that. I think that Cruel Intentions is a good mix up for what this is. But I mean, it definitely follows like what Great Gatsby is all about, but in a more modernized setting.
Yeah, just I mean that idea of like, well, the notion that like there are no consequences for the rich,
Yeah.
but until there are, right? And then sometimes those consequences are like even way more intense because of the things uh that we get involved in. But yeah, when you guys read this, and I really hope whether you win a copy from the show or whether you just if you're feeling frisky and buy it at comic shops tomorrow, order it on Amazon for later. I really encourage you to read it because it's a great read. But when you get we can't talk about it, but when you get to the end and when the things
It just is like one
You're
page and you're
yeah.
like, "What the
You're like,
fuck?"
holy shit," and it's just it's I love those moments, like, those are great comic book moments, and, when people talk about page turns and pacing and structure and stuff like that, usually I'm the one that talks about page turns and structure and pacing, and it was just miraculous how that was done, and it was when you're in this one zone, and then with one turn of the page, you're in a whole different mess of drama and shenanigans and intensities, and then there's a great splash page too right before the end, and it's just yeah, maybe was a little rushed in the end, but still hit real hard, real efficiently, and made the journey feel complete.
And yeah, I'm just going to show off some more of the panels that we have here. So this is stuff that we were allowed to show off to you guys to show you what is in this book. So yeah, once again, this is a cover that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And yeah, here's some of the internal pages.
I love the lens flare. We didn't talk about that
Oh
yet.
yeah, yeah.
All the little color spots and stuff. I love it.
And it's weird too. I mean, I'm not, maybe I didn't notice them as much now that they don't have a word that's kind of hovering over them a little bit that says preview. But sorry, I ended up the ticker covers the bottom part, and
Oh,
I wondered. I was like, why did I always have a little bit of space between these? Why don't I do it all? And now I realize why I did that. But yeah, and like too. I think this page specifically of the ones that we can show off, and there's one more a little bit like really shows the detail in those colors that I don't think that we normally saw. And this is the one thing, and I know it's always different depending on the artist and the colorist, but I always wonder for these things like these lens flares, if those are things that are drawn in or added after, because I know like
mm,
I've heard some people always say like I did that as the like penciler, and others are like, oh no, that's added in with the colors. And that's too, even with like, I don't know if we're gonna see any of those, but like descriptive words like skirt and stuff or
yeah.
whatever that's on there. Sometimes the letters do that. Sometimes the artist does that, and it's kind of different. I know, like Daniel Warren Johnson does a lot of his because they have that like look that his books have.
Yeah, I used to think that was always the letter, and I've was definitely told that I was incorrect in that because I always in my reviews I
I
just assume it's them too because I'm like lettering's great, the sound effects are seem real, pop off the page, but you hear it, and like I always include that in the same beat as I do the letters, and someone definitely told me like no, that's the artist or like Chris Condon when I interviewed him and Jacob Phillips, like Chris was talking about how like he would be in his office like saying random shit to like try and get those sounds down. And so like he was the one who like came up with the sound effects, and then Jacob would draw them, but like the sounds. And so I just like imagine like someone walking by Chris's office and he's like, what is going on in there? Yeah, this is a beautiful book. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
lettering's great. Dialogue flows, writing's great. I like the characters. I like the way they dress.
Yeah, most
It's
of the characters. Some of the characters I think are intentionally
well,
unlikable,
yeah, yeah,
but
like
you
the one
like.
girl whose name we can't remember.
Yeah. Or I mean, even Tommy, right? I mean, there's certain things about Tommy that I think
Yeah,
later on maybe you sympathize with him on maybe why, Tommy is the way that he is. But in the beginning, you just kind of look at him as this person that like that was a person that I probably didn't want to
yeah.
interact with much,
Entitled
right?
prick was a
Yeah.
phrase that came to mind several
I
times.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, sorry, I thought that that might have even been said in there, but I don't think it actually is. But yeah, I mean, I think this book is good. I think, especially if you are a fan of Great Gatsby and you like modernization or retelling, I think this is great. I mean, if you're just a fan of like good books, I think this is one that you should check out.
Mhm.
I mean,
Very on par with like very AWA, like
I,
very in their style and vibe. I felt like.
Yeah, and this is one that's funny. I like we've got a friend Chris, also known as Chaos in Comics, who he has an opinion on AWA that maybe I don't always agree with, but he says some of these seem like they're all made as pitches for movies. I
Mm,
would like to see how he reads this one and if he has that same thought, because I think that this maybe has a different pacing and it's a lot longer, right? Um, I think the only other AWA books that are 6 issues are the resistance ones.
yeah, yeah. They usually keep things a little on the tighter side.
Oh, awesome. And thank you for answering these questions. It's
Yeah.
always great to
Dude, no,
know about the
like
book.
having you in this chat is like I meant it earlier. It'd be so cool. I know some creators watch our show after and have watched us and commented on it, but like very cool. Very, we're very thankful to like have you in the chat, giving us feedback. Like it's, you
Yeah.
make us feel like real, like, oh, like we got comic book makers in the chat now, like coming, like we're legitimized now.
Yeah, yeah, and thank you for that. It definitely means a lot to us to have you here. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Blake and I both kind of agreed. One things that we both kind of said is we felt it's very weird because our criticism is also not a criticism, right? It's like that interview question. What's your worst quality? And you're like, my worst quality is that I love to work
I tried
and
too hard.
I try too hard and I'm a perfectionist. So you know what? I'm gonna make sure that I do everything the rightest way.
I have a
Um
12.4-inch tablet and it's real hard for me to find cases that fit it.
but yeah, I think the thing that we both kind of said is it seems rushed, but I don't think that that's not an intentional thing. I
Yeah.
think that that's kind of how the ending is supposed to be in a telling like this, and it's like one of those only because I just remember I woke up earlier this morning because I was just too exhausted last night, and I couldn't finish it. So I was like, oh, I'll just set my timer. I'll get up a little bit early. I'll make some coffee. I'll have a fresher head and I'll finish this up. And I just remember like, it doesn't seem like this is going to end. And I like click the middle of my only 10-inch tablet. And it tells me that there are only like 20 or yeah, I think I was on like page 156 of like 172. And I was like, how the hell is this book about to end? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there, maybe what the hell? Oh, whoa, man, this really just moved that on me. But we got where'd you get that? How you doing? If you
What
are
up?
new here, which you are, make sure you enter that hashtag to get a copy of this book. And yeah, I think that whoever ends up getting this book, I think that you're going to really enjoy it. I mean, and if you didn't like, see, that's a hard thing. I think that the thing about Great Gatsby, and I'm gonna say this, and Blake's probably gonna get slightly butthurt about this, but I would say, like, I mean, he probably will agree with me as a high schooler, and that's the hard thing with like, a lot of like classic fiction, right? It's force fed for you to read
Mhm.
in high school, and you do not give a shit about that.
Yeah.
Like, like I remember Lord of the Flies. I read that when I was like 15 or something. And I was like, this book seems fitting. I like this. I enjoyed this. I remember the first time like really wanting to read a book is when like a teacher was just like, you can pick any book you want and read it.
Mhm.
And I think I got like this is like I was maybe a 5th grader and I got Alice in Wonderland because I thought that was kind of cool. And I remember reading a chapter and that was probably more that I ever read until I was like a 9th grader. So, I was at least excited for what I was reading. And
Yeah.
I think this, so that's one thing. And who knows? I think maybe, I know that Comic Book Poser, he is another guy that we've talked about here. He's been in these chats before. He is a teacher. I think one of the things that he's kind of talked about is like certain books that he's tried to incorporate into some of the English teachers to see if they can get reading. And I think that this might, there's certain things, and obviously, this isn't something that you're probably going to give a 5th grader. But
Yeah.
when you're looking at, late high schoolers, this is maybe a book that I think that could possibly be brought into those situations to kind of like maybe even do a comparison. And yeah, where'd you get that? If you are reading Great Gatsby, I think this might be a good book to pick up. It's a cool modernization. And I think it'd be like just kind of a fun thing to kind of think like, because I don't know, The Great Gatsby is supposed to take place like I think after the Great Depression, if I'm not wrong. And that's kind of like the reason why that house was abandoned or whatever. And they
Mhm.
just kind of come and everything is hunky dory from there. But
Yeah, I so I don't remember a lot about Gatsby. Like, I mean, I remember reading it. I remember the green light. I remember certain elements, but I do remember like not I enjoyed it, right? It's just there's been a lot of, there's been decades and drugs between now and then, right? And so it's like misspent youth is, but it's been a book that I've wanted to reread because I do remember are being attached to it in a weird way, like the glamour, the abruptness of it, how like how these big, great bewildering things can come and go so quickly, and being swept up in the glamour of it all, right? Like distracted by those shiny objects, and being in this world where you don't really belong, and the world is the world of money. And that really intrigued me. And I remember like other students like not hating it, like being like, oh, another book we have to read. And it turned into this like, well, this actually, like, we actually had like cool discussions, and like, a lot of us back when they still believe there was a middle class, like they try and tell you there's not a middle class now or whatever. I'm still pretty sure there is, but like when I in my high school, like most of us were middle class people, and at the other high school I went to, not the rich all boys one, and so it was just like a lot of us didn't know what it would be like to have that kind of money and experience life, with that kind of, with that going for you. And then, yeah, the beauty of Gatsby is that it shows you that, like, it's very shallow, that security is very shallow, and like when you get comfy in those scenarios, they can just kind of be taken away from you. And I thought this adaptation did a really great job of that. Also, not just having like the structure of wealth taken away from you, but like the the security of having people around you all the time, and who's your real friend and who's not, and the weird places you can get involved in because of these people you allow into your life. Yeah, it's a lot of cool moving pieces that make you think about the world differently, which is why it's a good book for high school students, right? But this is a good reminder of that for, for modern readers, and of certain ages. But yeah, I was just really, really impressed with it. And it, like I said, definitely made me want to. If I had time, I would like to read the novel again. It's not a huge novel. It's an easy
It's
read.
pretty easy, yeah. I think it's like 200 pages even.
Yeah,
And I remember when my high school teacher brought it up, I think she had said, like, this is one of the like, I think she called it maybe the greatest American novel, and it's like, well, hold your jets. But, and I think something that you kind of touched on here that I think this new retelling does that I think is kind of cool is that it also adds in a new concept, right? You're talking about this glam, this fame, these monies, and it touches on this new concept of new money compared to old money.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's, one of the characters in this book is like criticizing Gatsby, saying that, oh, well, with this new money, they're just a flash in the pan. People are interested, but they don't last forever,
Hmm.
as they're like these, higher side society people that have just been engulfed in money their entire life, right? I mean, they even talk about throughout this entire book how these two characters who are dating are loosely like set together by their parents, and their lives are already figured out for
Yeah, it's
them.
like a
And
board. It's an arranged
yeah,
marriage,
yeah.
basically.
And also, good night, Kenneth.
Yeah, it's,
Thank you for hanging out with us. But yeah, it's, it takes that topic, which is a very, I guess I'm not in modern America. I don't think that arranged marriage is really a thing that happens, but it is talked about, and I'm sure too. With some of these rich families, maybe that's something that they want, to kind of do. So, and yeah, let's see what Felipe has to say. So I think us doing a current retelling and making it work in a testament to how timeless the original is, and that's why it's such a classic. Yeah, and that's yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably not gonna have time to reread this novel because I have some children. But the thing that I might end up doing is I might download the audiobook
the
if
old
my library
audiobook.
has it. The audiobook has been a lifesaver for me, and I'm not gonna lie, there's certain times where you miss it, but I feel like if you've read a book, no matter how long it's been,
It
the
comes back.
audiobook is a very good thing, right? Because it
Hmm.
helps you understand, and I've even gained stuff from the audiobook that I've like missed, because there's certain times where you read dialogue and where somebody else reads it where you're like, oh, that was meant to say like in jest, right? Where you
Yeah.
maybe don't pick that up if you're not like completely, I don't know. A lot of the times I read a book before I go to bed, and for better or worse, maybe my brain isn't 100% functioning
Hmm.
then, right? So yeah, there's certain times where you might not pick up on some of those things.
My problem with audiobooks, now some of them are great, and some of them have better narrators than others too, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
my problem is like I don't I usually listen to those like in my reading time, like I get comfy, lay down in bed, and it's playing on the tablet. And, because it's an audio only thing, I will typically close my eyes, right? Not because I'm tired,
You're
but
trying
I
to
close
imagine
my
it.
eyes and like kind of put myself in the zone and imagine these scenes and like, build them in my imagination. And then boom, I'm out. Like, and I remember I interviewed a writer, a novelist, last Halloween, a horror novelist, and I was reading her one of her books, and I was reading it on I was doing the audiobook, and there was like three times I had to like go back and then like try and figure out when I nodded off. And like I said, it wasn't boring. The narrator could have been better, but it was just like I just had a habit of doing that, like get comfy, try and get in the zone, and then boom. Because it's, I don't do a lot of driving. I work from home and stuff, and I have for the last few years. So like, I don't have a lot of trips that like take a lot of time out of my day where I can like play like a podcast or an audiobook like in the car or something like that, or like walking around with the headphones in and stuff like that. So it's usually like, you know, like the normal times when I would read. And yeah, when you don't have to use your eyes, right? It doesn't, it kind of like relaxes you, and especially depending on like the monotony or the softness of the narrator, just kind of ends up rocking you to sleep. And then you wake up later and it's still talking and you're like, oh shit, where did I go off? So yeah, that's my only problem with audiobooks. That's very specific to me. It's probably not like anybody else's real issue. That's just, my trauma. And I'm just letting you know.
Well, it's funny too that you kind of mentioned some of those things because I mean, obviously, I'm listening to mostly I listen to like podcasts or audiobooks when I'm driving. But I even said to a friend, like, I've started to, I'm trying to start to get into maybe running this year, right? I'm trying to figure out if I can do
Gross.
it. I know, dude, it sucks, but like as you have kids and you're like, you know what, I would like to see my kids grow up and I would like them to see their dad in a healthier
Yeah,
shape.
yeah.
That is something that you end up having to do, which is awful. But that's another time when I do it and people think it's so weird that I'm not making like, most people are like, I just put on aggressive music and I let that make me run my heart out.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, I'm just like listening to an audiobook. Some of the time, a lot of the stuff that I listen to, and people are probably going to barf when I mention this, but like is like stuff like Jack Reacher, where it's like, it's so mindless. There's 600 pages. And honestly, that book could be 200 pages. But like, this is loosely like what smut novels are. Jack Reacher books are for I think like men. It's just like this guy can like he meets the most attractive girl that he ends up teaching how to shoot a gun, and babe, it's 2 versus 100, but they didn't know that Jack Reacher is really 700 men. She was like, I bet you have a 13.4-inch fat lip.
And she's like, I got a case that can take it all, baby.
And then
Take it
she
all to Pound Town. Anyways, sorry. But no, those are super cheesy. I like it. It reminds. I have to. Titan sent me a copy of Gun Honey Volume 2, and Gun
yeah.
Honey Volume 1 was very much like. I enjoyed it. It was good pulpy noir, but it's also like very sexual, very provocative art, very very centered toward a male gaze, male audience. Like hyper violent, hyper sexy, just kind of different like that. And so yeah, it's there's a time and a place for all that though, right?
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
it's good, like cheesy B horror movies that you watch
Oh,
sometimes
I
that you
watch
just
so
love
many.
it.
I watch sea horror movies, and yeah, too. Like the Mad Respect. I mean, I like these Jack Reacher books too, but like in the grand scheme of things, right? We're talking about a book like Gatsby, which most people will probably put somewhere within the top 50 novels of all time, right? Or at least of the 20th century. And Jack Reacher is not going to be on those lists, unfortunately. I mean, that being said, I don't even know if Stephen King or John Grisham or even
Yeah, all that
Patterson,
stuff is,
right?
yeah,
Those guys they're all
literary. They're
making
they're looking for the literary novels, right? The
yeah,
stuff that like wins awards, that
yeah, like
like is
Cormac
is hard to
McCarthy.
read. Like you have to like they want you have to like wrestle with the text. It's
Yeah.
and
They probably
yes,
went to college and put semicolons in it.
tons of semicolons.
Or
Yeah.
they're just like who was it? Who wrote the book As I Lay Dying?
Oh shit.
Faulkner.
Yeah.
I don't think As I Lay Dying has spaces in it. Or there's just no cap. Oh, there's no punctuation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's like only spaces. And we got what is going on,
What's up,
K-pop
K-pop?
Chunky? How's it going? We are in the same state currently. Um, Also just probably most of the time because we both live in the same state. But if you're here and you want to win a copy of Great Gatsby, we got about 5 more minutes before we give this copy away. All you got to do is put hashtag Gatsby into the chat. And also, the winner of this, I'll probably end up sending maybe one of these new magnets of Cole and Blake read a book with this little baby sticker.
I love that. That's so cool you got those made. That's
Yeah. I just you sent the logo, and I've just been looking on their site for when they've been doing this because it's like, well, you can get them pretty cheap. So,
I've been thinking
uh,
about putting them on T Public for a shirt.
oh yeah. Well, and that
But
was the
then
thing.
I felt bad because like my love more hate less read comics shirt. Like I've almost sold 100 of those, and I made a little bit of cash from them. And then I was like, what if a lot of people start buying these? And then Cole's like, where's my cut, motherfucker? Like,
Give me a cut. I mean, I guess technically I could just make a Teespring and we could both put them on our Teespring.
yeah.
And then we could just say, support who you want to support. And then mine will probably just be like, go buy this on Blake. He probably needs more money than I do.
Yeah,
But if,
I'm getting those. I'm getting that freelance income now. So it's like, it's cool when it's there and it's scary when it's not, I guess. I don't know, but you know, making your own hours and taking a nap in the middle of the day is pretty cool.
so, yeah, God, one of my old coworkers used to be like, what, like, this is like, after the first like return to office of COVID, he would just go in his car for 45 minutes every day and sleep in his car. And I was like, how the hell do you do that?
Wow.
He's like, well, I don't know if you know this, but I drive a Suburban and the interior can hold at least 13 12.4-inch tablets in it
Comfortably.
comfortably. So yeah, let's get to the rankings here. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
The rankings, yeah, I would give this a. I totally thought about this earlier too, so I could like be ready because I knew you were going to ask me, and now I'm already going back on it. I would give this a 7.84 out of 10. Oh wait, are we doing 10 or 5 or what are we doing?
You just messed everything up.
Last week you asked, you had the audience decide.
Yeah.
Um,
Normally it's just been 5, except for the one time we did out of 7.
all right, out of 5, I would give it a. I'm gonna go 3.9 out of 5.
I think that this might be all-time first in Blake and Cole read a book. I'm going to also give it a 3.9. I think this is the first time that we've ever 100% on the nose agreed on the score. So that'll tell you something. Not like I think, the good thing about the show and the thing that I've kind of enjoyed is that we've really picked a bunch of books that we've all seemed to like, right? I mean, I'm trying to even think which book I like ranked the lowest. I think off the top of my head, if I were to guess, it probably would have maybe been Grimm.
Yeah, for me, it would either be, and I liked Grimm, but it would be either Grimm or like Seven Sons was I enjoyed it and I like was propelled to like through it, but it just like I don't know, like it
That
got it got almost too weird at a couple points. But
that
yeah,
was
I
a
mean, I've liked everything we've decided. I don't know
dislike a lot
if
of stuff.
well, I don't know if we would like if it would be as good a show if we like both hated it and just shit
Also,
on the
like
book the whole
that's the
time.
one thing. There's gonna be a time when one of us read a book and we just fucking hate it. I don't know what we're gonna do for that one because it's gonna be weird, especially because the other one's gonna probably absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's probably gonna be me because I like everything. So I'm gonna be like, how did you not even this part? Like, come on, you didn't like this one part. You didn't like that. But I mean,
It I think too, I'm at to the point where, so there was a thing when you were talking to Bad Idea today, where I know there are certain Bad Idea books. I'm not huge into fantasy,
mhm,
and I can objectively read the book and know that maybe while because I think the book Odin's Eye was
yeah,
one that I think made a lot of people's top books from that first wave. But me personally, I just don't love fantasy. So I just didn't, that was probably like lower for me. But I read the book. It was a good book. I know that if you like fantasy, you're going to like that book. The art's good. It's got thick pages to the point where when you're turning pages, sometimes you're like, you know what? This feels like it's 2 pages, but really it's 1 page. That is just me making fun of Blake a little bit, but like in a way that he is obviously laughing about it. I'm gonna roll this. Let's see who
Let's
wins this.
go. How many entries did we have?
We had,
14?
I think, 14. So thank you everyone for showing up and hanging out. Um, and yeah, and congratulations to Andrew
Andrew.
Kai. Andrew Kai, I think that we are friends on Instagram. Make sure you hit me up. If not, all my links are down below. You can either email me, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter. And yeah, if there are people here that are on Twitter, uh feel free to follow me. Maybe we can
Yeah.
talk. I post some random stuff on Twitter. Um Blake's on
Twitter's
Twitter.
Twitter's a Twitter's a neat place still.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean it hey,
Still a good it's still a good place for comics, I think.
yeah, I think, and that's the thing. The one thing that I love about I love Instagram because I think when it comes to this YouTube community and the people we deal with, that's usually where a lot of people hang out. But
Yeah.
if it weren't for Twitter, you want to know who wouldn't have been here? The artist of this book.
Yeah.
And maybe they would have. I didn't post anything about this on Instagram today because I completely forgot up
Yeah,
until
I didn't
literally
post
I
anything
thought
on
about it
Instagram.
right now. But yeah, I think next week we might be going on a different day. I'm not entirely sure. We'll probably talk about that in a few minutes. But Blake, you got anything going on this week? I know you got a live tomorrow, right?
I got a live tomorrow with Clay Adams about Carmilla Unbound, their new sort of not safe for work vampire comic on Kickstarter, which looks pretty cool. And then next week I got some cool stuff going on. I got like Liana Kangas and Sarah Gailey.
Know your station.
No, yeah, we're gonna talk Know Your Station, and then I've got Jason Copland, who's just fucking annihilated his Full Tilt campaign in like 10 minutes today on Zoop. It's like he funded in 10 minutes and it's still blowing up. So he's going to come on next week. And I think that's about it for me. I'm probably fucking up and forgetting something again because I do that sometimes when I get real busy. I've forgotten I scheduled interviews and then I'm that asshole. And I've recently found myself real busy because I got hired as a social media manager and a publicist, and then I'm like running not running the campaign, but I'm doing PR for some Kickstarter campaigns, and which if you were following me on social media, you'll quickly notice that I'm hyping the same 5 books every day. Apologies. But that's why, because they're paying me money. Also, because I believe in the books. Someone asked me that the other day, like, what do you do if you don't like the book? I'm like, well, I'm not going to take their money. Like, I'm an okay salesman, but I can't do magic. So like, if someone wants to pay me money, be like, hey, my comic book sucks. It's got terrible art, and I've only written one thing when I was in 5th grade about this dragon, and my mom said it was really great. Like I can't help you. I'm sorry. so I do believe in the products I'm in the people that I'm working with. But yeah, things are getting kind of crazy right now. So my live streams and interviews I'm going to be pulling a Cole a little bit. Like my long form content may be slowing. I'm still going to do interviews, but it's like these days of doing like 4 a week. I hope those are done because I'm getting sleepy. But yeah, it's
Getting
but
old.
I do have some cool shows coming up on the live streams, and then they'll be released as a podcast. And Robert Venditti's coming up later this month. I'm real excited about that, and some other cool stuff.
And I'm contractually obligated to mention, even though I mentioned it at the start of the day, Blake got to have the guys from Bad Idea on his show. I think you should go check those out. Those guys are pretty cool. And I think if you are a hater of Bad Idea or you didn't like some of the antics that they did, I think listening to them talk about it will
Yeah.
maybe put into light a little bit of what they're trying to do and the reasons why they kind of did the waves that they did and some of the things that they tried to do in this phase two that I was a pretty strong advocate on how they were improving. And I think that they really care about the medium of comics
Mm-hmm.
beyond a lot that other people have to say. But once again, I've got the links for everything down below. I know that I went to a lot of the creators on this book's websites instead of straight to their social medias. And the reason I did that is so that I could put as little links as possible, but you can find all of their social medias on the sites that are linked down there. That's why I did it. Also, if you have not checked out Blake, I've got his links down below and I've got mine. I've got a link to where you can get this. I've got a link to AWA. They are awesome. If Gatsby doesn't sound like your book, I highly recommend going to their website and checking out some other stuff because I think that they have a ton of books and they probably have something in their library
They
for
got
literally
some
about
cool new
anyone.
stuff too. They're sneaking. They're that
Yeah,
new
like
one
Red
that
Zone.
yeah, Red Zone is great, but the new one that they've released like a couple pages of and sent like a presser about.
Oh, and that's got a big, is that Ed Brisson?
Yeah,
There's an Ed Brisson book.
I think
If you
so.
follow me on Twitter, I retweeted the little graphic thing that they have. So there's a thing you can do. And yeah. So I mean, I've been a big fan of AWA. I think I've bought in literally every single book that they've ever put out, and I
Hmm.
think there was only one of them that I did not finish to completion. So I think that says something pretty strong about their
Yeah.
catalog. But I've been Cole. He's been Blake. Thank you for hanging out with us as we talk about a book that we read. We'll be back here next week. It might be on a different day. Maybe we won't be back here next week. We'll see. Who knows? Only the future will tell. But have a wonderful night, everyone. And
Yeah.
thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us.
Thanks for
Peace.
tuning in. Appreciate you.
Oh, and also, hey, ride on. It makes less sense now that I don't have a mustache.